Welcome to Chai After Dark, everyone. I am Sameem. I'm here with my co-host Shabnam. What's up?
Hey, Sameem, what's up?
Hey, you know what? Diamonds are forever, right?
Diamonds are forever.
Today we're going to be discussing another episode of our favorite subject, Bad Boy Billionaires.
Yeah, I love those bad boy billionaires. What can I say?
Well, I mean, our first Bad Boy Billionaires, we sort of got confused because we didn't understand that the bad boy was only about stealing money. This one is straight up theft. Like, I'm just going to take all your money. It has nothing to do with diamonds other than diamond was the vehicle. So
yeah, diamond was the vehicle.
Yeah.
It's always about how to manipulate people to get their money, basically, to steal their money.
Yeah, this was, like, I watched the whole thing, and I didn't learn anything about this man. I don't think you did either. It was very much just like he got to the top, social climber. The wife was hot. She was a social climber. He made a bunch of money from Punjab Bank, and he got found out really quick, and then he went to London, and he's still there.
You know who he reminds me of, though?
Mm-hmm.
He looks like Caillou. You know the cartoon?
Oh, my God.
The French cartoon?
Caillou. Dude, that used to come on at 9 a.m. every day on Sprout Channel, and Sophie would watch it every fucking day from 2009 to 2012, I'm assuming. Caillou.
Yeah,
How do you know that?
I'm just a boy who's 4. Each day I grow some more. Caillou. Because Caillou only had like 3 hairs for some reason. And so did this man. Even though he was 4 years old, it's like, why do you only have 4 hairs? So his hair looks like Caillou's hair. I know that because my nephews are around the same age as Sophie. So they used to love Caillou.
I know. Also, Nirav Modi, who's the subject of this documentary, he is 5'4". So I don't want to height shame anyone because this guy is going to get shamed enough in this episode by us, but he is 5'4", and he was balding when he was 34 years old. So,
are you saying that he had a Napoleon complex?
I don't know, because are there like big burly billionaires, or are they all insecure? We can go down the list because there's not that many, and we have to take out the inheritance babies, right? I'm talking about like self-made billionaires.
You know what's funny is I feel like there's, well, you know, Elon has been quoted as saying women like stability and money. Mm-hmm. If you had a choice between spending the time in the gym and spending the time making money, you should spend time making money. He's been like quoted to say like something to that effect. So,
well, it shows because he literally looks like a 1950s refrigerator. I don't know. Like, that's his body. That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
So maybe he should hit the gym with his pals.
Maybe, yeah. But I feel like once you really get settled into your billionaire life, you probably have chefs and all kinds of stuff to where you do probably
I don't think
get
he does.
healthier because
I don't think he does. I don't think he knows how to handle being around normal people. And I think he doesn't have any semblance of a real life. I think he
would probably sleep with his chef.
Oh, I mean, yeah, he would impregnate her even if it was a man. He would find a way. So I don't know. I woke up this morning and I was watching like some internet news channel, and they were playing a clip of him with a black eye, and he was on ketamine or something. Did you see that clip in the White House?
No, I didn't.
It's from Friday. Maybe you should just pull it up right now and let's discuss this real time, since we are discussing billionaires right now. This guy's not just a billionaire at this point. He's just...
So Elon with ketamine at the White House.
Yeah. It's like his final press conference or something because he's out of the White House, I guess, now.
Elon, on the campaign trail, Elon Musk juggles drugs and family drama.
Come on.
That's the title from New York Times.
No, I know. I mean, of course he's juggling family drama. He has more kids than, you know, all of our parents, grandparents, and uncles and aunts put together.
It says, as Mr. Musk entered President Trump's orbit, his private life grew increasingly tumultuous and his drug use was more intense than previously known.
Weird. I think if I was a billionaire, I would have a drug created for me, specifically for my lifestyle, for my personality, and my physical health. Isn't that the whole point of being a billionaire? What is this shit? I'm going to go do ketamine? Like, have a little bit more originality. Is that a real word?
Yeah, it is. Originality. Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Okay. During an Oval Office send-off Friday, it marked the end of his formal role with the Trump administration. Elon Musk lashed out when asked about New York Times report alleging he was a frequent user of the drug ketamine during the 2024 campaign, which is what all the women on Secret Lives of Mormon Wives use. He wore a t-shirt that mimicked The Godfather.
Oh, my God. What a dumbass t-shirt.
And the president invoked the Terminator.
It's always good to have t-shirts with misspelled acronyms. Shows off you're really smart.
Well, apparently Doge is Musk's, quote, baby, according to the president, so he might not actually leave. Maybe Elon Musk is just, doing the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives trend.
I don't really know what ketamine is, to be honest. I don't think I've ever... Because, if you go out, of course, people are doing cocaine and stuff, but...
Yeah.
Or smoking weed, but ketamine seems like a whole different thing. It seems like I'm too smart for myself kind of drug. So then
ketamine's a downer, right?
Yeah.
So it brings you. It's like I think it's like a tranquilizer.
Are you on it right now?
No.
Why don't you perk up a little bit? We're talking about your favorite subject, billionaires. Sorry, I already made that joke. Bad boys, not billionaires.
Bad boys. Oh my God. I don't think Bad Boys are. I don't think I've liked Bad Boys for many years. I've kind of liked broody nerds for probably the last 10 years. Not that Brian is broody or
Brian's
nerd.
not broody at all.
Yeah, he's not broody or nerd. He's the only that was my type, and then I met him, and he was normal. So
he's kind of a nerd. Shout out Brian.
He is a nerd, but he's not broody, and he's like social and stuff. So.
Yeah. Anyways, everybody, our new victim, I guess, that we're about to roast. We already roasted Vijay Mallya from Kingfisher. Now we're about to roast Nirav Modi. And Modi.
Yeah.
I don't think he's related to India Modi, by the way.
Yeah, not to be confused with the Prime Minister of India, I think. Although, who knows? Maybe somewhere in their lineage.
Maybe two cousins got married named Modi.
Could be. Hey, it's not. It wouldn't be the first time, right? It wouldn't be the first time.
Wouldn't be the last time.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the last time either. So if I was going to rename this episode, my not so exciting rename of it is Diamond Dud, but maybe I'd name him Caillou.
Caillou. Caillou.
No. It goes each day. I go some more. Oh no, I knew the song. Caillou. Okay, anyways, whatever. We'll cut this out.
Each day I steal some more with these diamonds.
Each day I steal some more. Every day I grow my wealth. Nirav Modi.
Because I can't grow my height. I'm sorry, Modi. You did it to yourself, homie. You think we're not going to make fun of you?
I know.
Come on.
So and the shitty part is he's seeking asylum in the UK now. It's like you don't get to seek asylum. Yeah. It's not like you're a hard up criminal. You did this all to yourself. So Nirav Modi was the face of a luxury jewelry and luxury diamond brand in India. It's the first one. So he controlled his narrative and bedazzled people. He said his grandfather and father were diamondeers and his mom was an interior designer. And so this combination basically gave him this really unique perspective that he established himself with. And he ended up using Rose Huntington Whiteley, I don't know how to say her name, Rose Huntington Whiteley, as the face of his products.
Is she still famous?
Yeah, she's a model.
Yeah, because this is an 07 that you're referring to, I believe.
Yeah.
So it's quite a while ago.
Yeah. And so this was the first time you had an Indian luxury brand having these Western models that want to actually be the face of it because it's so luxurious.
And
right?
that is a direct correlation to our previous Bad Boy Billionaire episode where he hired models on an airplane. So it was the first thing he did for Kingfisher. And the first thing this jewelry guy does is get more models. So sex does sell.
Sex does sell. And if they're light-skinned, even more in India, hey...
Light skinned? What does that mean? I thought it was called fair. Fair and lovely. Is light skinned a real term?
Shout out to colorism in the subcontinent.
She's very fair.
Actually, not shout out, but she's Rose Huntington Whiteley is very fair.
She's also very nice.
Safrang. So And her last name is Whiteley, so there you go.
That's right. He's like, holy shit, this every box is checked with this woman.
He's like, it's in the name.
Yeah.
We got to get her.
I mean, and she, dude, the funny thing is when they in the first 10 minutes, right, they show the model connection with him. She's legit 7 to 12 inches taller than him.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Of course. I mean, he's 5'4", so.
Yeah. So 90% of the world's diamonds are polished in Surat, which is in the province of Gujarat in India, which is pretty surprising. I was like, who would have thought? But I guess it does make sense because Desis are all about that bling.
Which is wild, right? I did not know that either.
Yeah.
They have the trust to ship these diamonds to India, get them all polished, and then ship them back out. I've never heard of that. And I've watched Blood Diamond with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah, me too.
I thought I knew everything about diamonds.
I know, that's
off
wild.
one movie.
But I'm surprised on the one hand, but I'm also not surprised because Desi people are so into their jewelry. I posted this meme on our Jive After Dark account a couple days ago. It said that like 1/5 of the world's gold is owned and kept by South Asian housewives.
Oh yeah,
like,
if you break into a Desi person's house, go ham because they're gonna have thousands of dollars of Zaver.
But you gotta find it because
we hide it.
Yeah, don't break into houses, and we hide it really fucking well.
This ain't no bling ring. You ain't gonna get shit from us. Like, you know where we put it? Actually, it's safety deposit boxes. That's where they all are.
That's where they all are. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Nobody keeps them at home. So Nirav Modi's uncle actually worked in the diamond polishing business in Surat at a business called Mehul that was really well known. And he didn't pay. So his uncle got him into the business and he kind of leveraged his uncle's position to get respect.
Yeah.
But then he ended up not really paying people. He ended up paying a model with fake diamonds and he bought a yacht. And then in 1999, he actually split away from his uncle and started something called Firestar Jewelry. And he did really well with it. He hired poor people and provided them food and healthcare, and they were so grateful. This is like a theme in India. You hire poor people, you give them a penny, and then they're so grateful because they've never even had one penny, and you make millions of dollars off them. This is not
India, Shabnam. This is not India.
No, I know.
This is where they
everywhere.
learned it from the U.S. They learned it from late stage capitalism, essentially, because federal minimum wage is $7.25 for however how many years. I don't even want to look it up because it's so depressing. So. People are still getting paid $7.25 an hour in this country.
That's insane.
That's insane.
I don't understand. Sometimes when I think about it, I literally don't understand how most people live.
We've talked about this many times off record, I guess. But they live paycheck to paycheck. We already know that 52 to 60% of people live paycheck to paycheck, and then they live with their families, and they're in debt, and they live with their whoever they can. You hear of couples splitting up and they can't move out. And then they live in separate areas within the home. This country's not made for people to move upward. And the story that you're telling right now is so similar to the Kingfisher story. Bad Boy Billionaires episode 1. They gained their trust and then, as you said, they pull the rug.
Right. So these basically poor people that finally got a job with Firestar Jewelry ended up kind of treating him like a god, right? Because of this employment that they got from him. But he was making way more money off of them than he was paying them. And so what we learn from the documentary is that polishing diamonds is apparently a really low profit business, but setting and selling diamonds is where the real big margins are. So that's what he wanted to do. So that's kind of the goal of him creating this luxury brand. So he started studying the market and the players, and he did have a pretty artistic and aesthetic eye. So he built this beautiful lotus diamond necklace. He set a Golconda diamond in a lotus design. These Golconda diamonds are very famous and very good quality. And Golconda in Hindi and Urdu means sweet flower, I think. Right. So it was basically these beautiful diamonds set in this lotus design, which was featured on the cover of something called Christie's auction catalog. And he was the first Indian jeweler to feature on the cover. And that piece was bought by a Taiwanese industrialist for $3.5 million.
Yeah. And then they asked him who bought it. He says it, but I don't know if that Taiwanese industrialist even exists. I think what they were trying to say, wasn't he selling it back to himself? by taking the money from the bank. That part wasn't super clear.
I think this first one might have been actually sold, but I think eventually, because it's how many of these really expensive ass pieces can you sell?
Yeah, because
it's like hard to find buyers.
They said within 2 years his net worth, quote unquote, was $2 billion.
Yeah.
So there's 5 million people in the entire world with over $5 million. So I don't know how many people can buy $3.5 million necklaces.
It's just unrealistic because like if you think about like luxury real estate, like I watch Selling Sunset, those people, if they're going to sell like a really high end home, like a $10 million plus, there's very few of them that are going to sell multiple of those per year because there's not even that many buyers, right? Yeah. The vast majority of people cannot even dream of buying a $10 million house, No,
I get it. So, I don't know. Could have been a favor.
Yeah, who knows? So then we, at every point in one of these episodes, there's always like an entrance of a white person.
I know. Right? I wrote the same thing. And then I remember your accent, his accent, I guess, that he did of Vijay
From the Kingfisher guy?
Exactly. Yeah. And then I was like, really? And this guy's like, what could go wrong? He actually said that. I'm like, you're going to go to Mumbai and you're going to ask what could go wrong?
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Well, I'm like, dude, these white guys, they've been around the world too when they work with these Indian guys. It's like they're shysters too. They're probably not totally innocent themselves.
That guy knew. Yeah. And they arrested the Indian guys, the second in command. They arrested a guy that had no idea. He was just like a polisher or something, the guy at the end of the documentary.
One of the employees.
It's insane. And he's like crying. You could tell that he didn't do it. That he was just he's like, we don't.
He was a bank employee. He wasn't a polisher.
Yeah, not a polisher. Yeah, my bad. But the white guy, he's just like, yeah, I'm cool. Let's go.
Jeff Contra, he met Nirav in 2008 and they started the jewelry business together. And Nirav Modi's vision that he shared with Jeff was that he wanted to be known as the Indian version of Italian luxury brands. And he wanted to be like the Indian luxury jewelry brand. And it's actually a great cultural fit if you think about it, because they season their bling and they're all about that jewelry and all of that.
Yeah.
So it makes sense, but he just wasn't honest about it. You kind of have to have like a long game and go for the quality and build up your business. But if you get too antsy and you have no chill, I think that's a success killer.
Yeah. I wouldn't even say he was successful because seems like it was fraudulent from day one. Right. And he already had so much experience from his uncle and also his father in the jewelry industry. So he already came from money on top of that.
Yeah.
But his shit unraveled really quickly. But they didn't really spend a lot of time on his come up other than, he started opening more in New York, in Switzerland, in London, in India. And the New York store is still open. I checked.
Oh, wow. That's crazy. So his jewelry was apparently very stunning. And they said he really stretched the technical aspects of the jewelry making and he married it with the aesthetic. So he made like a stretchable bangle by creating interlocking links, which is really cool. This is what I mean. It's like if you have chill and you have some patience and you're really artistic and aesthetic minded, he could have maybe, instead of becoming a billionaire in 2 years, he could have become a billionaire in 20 years. But then at least he'd be honest about it. Like,
yeah. And then also it's like, would you rather have a chill ass fucking life at 100 million or be in prison for 6 years with 2 billion? He doesn't have 2 billion, obviously, but it's just, I was talking to somebody else this morning on the phone and look, my brother lives in Fresno, right? But I don't know how much money I would want if I was actually living in Fresno. I feel like I could live somewhere else with a lot less money. But then, of course, if you're a billionaire, you don't have to live in Fresno. I totally get that. But I feel like environment matters more than money, or your life matters more than money, or like the people around you matter more than money, or maybe just your happiness matters more than money. I don't know.
I think happiness matters more than money, although at a certain point you need some money for happiness. You need like a baseline. But yeah, like I think this is how like people choose the way their lives are set up, their environment, their job, to the extent they can, right? A lot of people can't choose, right? But you choose those things to make yourself happy, like mentally and emotionally to the extent that you can. But this guy is like, it's like an insatiability. It's like you could have just $3.5 million, dude. I don't know who he had to pay like in the process for that, but he probably at least could have like $1 million himself. $1 million goes a long way in India, and he could have keep selling those kind of pieces. It's just crazy to me that he had to rip people off and all that crazy stuff.
Do you think let's put it like this, we come from a pretty high functioning cultural group, right? I think Indians are actually the wealthiest demographic in the United States now, right?
Yeah.
At what point do you look at yourself and say, okay, I've already made enough to be comfortable and protect my family if I need some cash?
Yeah.
Where is that balance point where you just step back and you're like you keep saying, this is okay for me now and everybody around me is happy, so now I'm happy. There's no sense that we grew up with that ever said, hey, stop. You know, it was always extra indulgence. And whether your goal is 10 grand, 100 grand, or $1 million, nobody that I know got to that goal without severe down points as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it does. And I think it really comes from your parents, because my dad did well for himself, but he would always tell me, he'd say like, look, there's celebrities and professional athletes. They make millions and millions of dollars. And then you see like 5 years later, they go bankrupt. And he was like, it's really easy to spend money. Like you could have $20 million and be broke the next day, right?
Yeah.
You could make $100,000 and have a decent life. I mean, maybe not in San Francisco, but in Fresno or whatever.
Could, of course. Yeah. That's why I'm saying it's like you can adjust your life to match the money that you have to some happiness, provided you're not completely broke and you know, without any income.
But a lot of people, and a lot of Desi people in particular, there's a sense of keeping up with the Joneses, keeping up with the Modis, to the point of insatiability where nothing is ever enough. And that's what my dad used to tell me. Yeah, my dad used to tell me that. He'd be like, you have to figure out what's enough for you, because for some people, it's never enough. And for those people, they're always going to be broke no matter how much money they have.
I mean, Elon Musk seems like he's emotionally broke.
Yeah. And I mean, every other day it's like, oh, he lost this many $1 billion too, right? So like people like that, like he overpaid for Twitter too. He overpaid totally for Twitter, right? So I don't know.
I think we've come to realize one thing, and I think we kind of have been on this theme since White Lotus and a few other episodes that we've done, but the most money in the world doesn't mean you're the smartest man in the world. It's become so apparent. It's become so obvious. Making money at an exorbitant clip, that's by design. It's by function of like greed. Like you said, it's never enough. Yeah. It's not because, oh, I'm naturally smart, so I naturally have $1 billion. It's nothing like that whatsoever. Yeah. It really is a goal. Like if I want to get trim and slim, lift these kind of weights or whatever that number is, the same thing. Yeah. Like a billionaire goes for that number. Right? Like, it's just strange. I can't imagine being insecure if I had that much money. It would be weird. You could buy security, and this guy is so insecure. Donald Trump is so insecure. Isn't that crazy? Jeff Bezos is so insecure.
You can't buy
security.
Security. You can't buy mental health.
Dude,
you
Jeff
can't
Bezos looks like a
satisfaction.
Cowboy. Like he's cosplaying that he's a cowboy.
Yeah,
I don't get it, bro. Like when you're 5, you want to be a cowboy. Not when you have $200 billion. You can't think of anything to do other than a spaceship and buy the watch. I don't get it. There's not a single interesting bone in that guy's body. We've talked to these kind of men before. The second you challenge them, they back off.
Yeah.
I should take that back because I don't actually know any multi billionaires. So maybe they are the best people on earth. I doubt it.
No, I doubt it. After like tens of millions, I think to accumulate more money than tens of millions, the likelihood of you having to screw people over to accumulate that wealth is very high.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you also have to make that money in the stock market. And if you pull any sort of huge number out of a company that you're a significant stakeholder in, you're going to fuck a lot of retail investors. So even if it's unwilling, you're still going to fuck people over by having that much stake in a company. So I don't know. Doesn't seem like we're really into billionaires, right? Just tap it. Tap it at $999 million. What's
no, but happen? I feel like me and you are kind of like, we have this mindset of we're trying to build satisfaction and joy in our lives. We're not trying to run after insatiable amounts of stuff.
I already did that.
I
already did that. And it was fun. Yeah. And you've already done that and you're still doing it. And I don't know if it's fun for you, but you probably don't want to comment on that.
No,
you have a good job,
obviously, but I'm also not like running after money.
You're not running after some Raiders of the Lost Ark or I don't know, some precious Schmeagle.
Yeah.
My precious. Yeah. I don't know, man. It's kind of strange. Like, this guy pissed me off. I'm sorry. His little weasel face. Keep going.
So obviously he had to get Priyanka Chopra in on his brand, right? So she was the face of his brand as well. And then he used basically a letter of undertaking to get loans from the bank. But the way that works is you provide like a letter of undertaking, and then you have to provide something as collateral, some like property or asset or something. But he actually never provided that, and he just bribed the local bankers at the Punjab National Bank in Bombay, India, and he was able to get them to just approve these loans even though there was no collateral. So workers at the bank found it suspicious, low-level workers, but the upper management that he had bought off were just basically like, oh no, we're good. And so they kind of were like, okay. And they just would let these things go through. And so he was good at marketing, and he used, these international models like Priyanka Chopra, like I said, Rose Huntington Whiteley, and he was getting notoriety and getting more well known. And then he met his wife, Sameem Modi, who was from a jewelry family in New York. And she kind of like up-leveled his status, and he schmoozed with the rich and famous through her. And they lived in this like swanky part of Mumbai, and everywhere they traveled, they were like this really rich family. So I feel like he's just a clout chaser and a status chaser.
What am I going to say to this? Like, it's just so strange to me. If I had that money, I wouldn't go only meet the people that I see on camera that are rich and famous. We've talked about this before, right? When we did the Ambani weddings, it's kind of like, if I had that kind of money, I would want to hang out with people that really, really, really influenced my life even if it's not a positive way. It'd be what I want to do. It wouldn't be like, go get me J-Lo so I can go hang out with her. I don't know what I would say to J-Lo. I'd be like, A, I'm richer than you if I had that money, and B, like, I don't get it. Like, I can just create my own J-Lo. I could buy a J-Lo. You see what I'm saying? I wouldn't go hang out with anybody. If I had $40 billion, I think I would like take a meeting with Mark Zuckerberg to laugh at him because he said, don't you think masculinity is missing? To Joe Rogan, he had that masculinity talk. I would be like, I'm going to make you cry and I'm going to pay you to do it. Like, you're a loser. You're a loser through and through. It's obvious you're a loser because I listened to the Joe Rogan podcast. Nothing about you even remotely wanted me to ever be in the vicinity of you, Mark Zuckerberg.
And it feels like it's a game because I feel like
because he's not human. He's a fucking droid. Like, of course it's a game.
Well, I feel like if he knew that something else he could say would get listeners or be flashy or be interesting to Joe Rogan, he would have said that instead on Joe Rogan's podcast.
But
he's
saying what Mark Zuckerberg does?
For that reason.
He does exactly what we do. He lives in a bigger house. He squirrels his own product, and he's getting brainwashed by his own fucking product.
Algorithm.
Yeah. Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
Isn't that wild? This guy created everything. Technically, he didn't create it. I get it. Like, he bought Instagram. But he's in an algorithm that turned him into an Andrew Tate or something. He literally can't, like, comprehend emotion or human relationships. It's strange. He like literally doesn't get it. And that's why I always say, if you have 51% of Facebook, it doesn't mean you're the smartest man in the room. It means you were conniving and you wanted to keep 51% of it. There was nothing else to it. And you've paid off so many people along the way. Right? And
pennies compared to what you made off of them.
Yeah. And you started the company, you deserve it. Like, I'm not saying like he doesn't deserve it. He started the company, he did it legally and whatever. But it doesn't mean you're interesting. It means actually the opposite, to have that kind of.
And
sorry,
just
I'm
because
going long,
something
but
is,
it's like it's just you have so much access, and you become less and less interesting if you have more access.
Just because you can do something legally and technically, like from an engineering perspective, doesn't mean it's something you should do morally.
No, of course, yeah.
Like, a lot of engineers they're not built to care. They're just like, whoa, I can do it. And like, you could totally see that in his AI brain, and Elon Musk too. They never think about whether necessarily they should do something. They're just like, if we can, then we're going to.
Yeah.
You know?
Did you start, I don't want to switch subjects, but did you start Mountainhead? Did you start it?
I didn't start it. I'm going to start it tonight.
So we are going to review Mountainhead, audience.
Yeah.
And it's about 4 billionaires that are caught up in a bunker while the entire world burns, and somebody is playing Mark Zuckerberg. I don't know who the actor is. He's not Mark Zuckerberg because he's super outgoing and stuff, which is hilarious. So they made him the opposite. But it is literally AI is so involved in his technology, social media, that nobody knows what's real and what's fake. So every single government is being like overthrown by its citizens, and these 4 billionaires are sitting in a bunker. So, and they're literally
hilarious.
Out loud saying, should we turn it off or should we keep going? If we keep going, then maybe everybody will come together one day. Like it's, it's like the Thanos thing from Marvel. Everybody, you have to burn it down to build it back up. So
weird.
We're going to review that movie.
And,
so the billionaires are still coming.
Yeah. And it has Rami Youssef and Steve Carell and a bunch of other folks too. So
yeah, those are the 2 main actors, I would say. I don't know who the tall guy is that plays like the Mark Zuckerberg character, but Rami Youssef's not great. I'm just going to say it right now. He's like, you can, because Steve Carell is an amazing actor. So when you put someone
and you could tell the difference.
I mean, I can tell the difference because I've been to so many theater performances with my daughter and other people. Like, yeah, Rami Youssef is like, it literally just looks like he's speaking into what am I saying? It sounds like he's just speaking into the camera because that's what he's doing, but it's like he has no range, right? It's just literally Rami Youssef.
Yeah.
Like, which is fine. I'm not like, it's not a diss. Aren't some actors better than others? Like, why can't I say that?
Yeah, and it's just like when you put Sammy Obeid next to Mo Umar. Like, Sammy Obeid's funny, but then you put him next to Mo Umar, it's like, oh, that's...
You could tell the difference. Yeah, and Sammy Obeid's
comedian.
amazing.
Yeah.
Like, he's an amazing comedian.
Yeah.
And so is Rami Youssef.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they're not. They're way funnier than I am. I'm just saying... I don't know if he needs to have...
You're just saying that Rami Youssef is not Steve Carell and Sammy Obeid is not Mo Umar, right? It is what it is.
Yeah, and it's fine. Yeah, let's keep going. We're going to review it later.
Okay, so back to Bad Boy Billionaires, episode 2. So after 2012, Nirav Modi seems like the pieces weren't really selling as fast as he wanted them to. So there were all these rumors that he was borrowing heavily and he was denying it. And even though everyone was like wondering, but he's like, no, everything's fine. Like my business is going great. And again, this is like another Desi thing. Like Desi people will never admit publicly that something's going wrong. It's like against our religion, although it's not really against our religion. It's against our culture.
Is that a thing? Are you serious? Are you being facetious? I'm just joking. I know.
Yeah, obviously. So he would never admit it, even if it was true, and obviously it's true. But he was like doubling down, obviously. Okay, this is what's amazing. He inflated the diamond values by selling them from one shell company to another, and he would take the profit to use it for his own personal gain, his own personal profit. And then he launched the brand in America with Donald Trump Jr. So he had like this big Hollywood and Bollywood party. He got Priyanka Chopra and Kate Winslet on the red carpet. Donald Trump Jr. was there. It's insane. Like he was just literally clout chasing and brand chasing, but there was no actual substance there. He was just using shell companies.
There was
in
substance.
Classic capitalist.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up because remember when we talked about Donald Trump inflating his assets to get loans on him, but then he would say that they're worth less on his tax return, so then he wouldn't have to pay tax on any sort of valuation that increased and or he sold the property. So Modi did the same exact thing, except he did it with jewelry.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's where you got the idea, but that's literally how Donald Trump and Donald Trump Jr. became famous. It's very well documented, and Donald Trump Jr. and Eric Trump actually have on record said we got all of our money from Russia because nobody in the U.S. would loan it to us. So Modi was doing the same exact thing with diamonds, except he was doing it with the Punjab National Bank in India.
What can we say? They're
Unreal.
like, we learned capitalism from the West, I guess.
Well,
right?
don't birds of a certain feather flock together? So
there you go.
Hey, crook's in a crook.
So basically, he ended up with having super ambitious expansion plans. And his thought process was that he's in the luxury market and the luxury market is recession proof. And he had a purpose that was much bigger than profit. It was marketing, A-listers, luxury, whatever. And he became part of India's super elite rich crowd. Okay, the other thing I was thinking, he looks like an uncle version of Pee Wee Herman.
I know. Dude, I thought the same thing.
He totally does.
Yeah, because when they approach him in London, I was just like, holy shit. It's brown Pee Wee Herman.
Yeah, exactly. It's so crazy. Dude, there's a Pee Wee Herman documentary coming out too. I don't know.
Oh, dude, that dude's a creep. I'm down to do that. That'd be hilarious.
Yeah. So then in the summer of 2017, one of the officials of the bank who he was bribing retires. And so 6 months later, his people tried to borrow money from the same bank without collateral. And the bank realizes, like, oops, there's been no collateral giving. And the bank is missing $1.8 billion. Like, just total oopsie. Yeah. Unreal. That they should have been collecting from him. Yeah. So Jeff comes back, and then Jeff says, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, sure, Jeff.
Yeah, sure, Jeff. So tax authorities just walked in one day and basically closed the entire business because of this $1.8 billion that the bank didn't have. And so the people from the villages who were poor that he employed lost their jobs, and they were all like super heartbroken, disillusioned by him. And of course, what does he do? He flees the country to the UK. And 2 bank officials were taken into custody. So this is what you were talking about earlier. One of them is Gokunan Shetty and then Manoj Kara. And he'd been bribing both of them for 6.5 years. But Manoj was in jail for 3 months. And he said, poor guy, he's like, I'm not meant for jail and I had no authority over things. He was the one that was a lower level guy. And he said he was just following the orders of the upper management. And he was just doing his job. And
which he probably was. Like,
yeah,
it's very
I feel
hard
bad
to,
for him.
Yeah, like an employee like that wouldn't have access to $1 to $2 billion. Yeah, he was just the means.
And also the other part of Desi culture is that it's super hierarchical and based on like hierarchy and status and
there's
and
no
like
here
age.
There's protections. Yeah, like if your boss harasses you here, like in reality that boss should be fired, right? Like in India, it's not like that.
Yeah, it's especially you would have a much more difficult time.
You would get
trying
fired.
To draw
you
attention.
would get fired if
you
spoke up against your boss. If you spoke up against your boss here, if something actually happened, you'd probably get let go, but then you would get like paid or something. Over there, you just get fired.
Yeah. So 1 year after that, Nirav was charged and he still remains missing abroad. So they were like looking for him. And then randomly he turns up in NYC, and Mick Brown from the Daily Telegram shows up in the documentary, and he says he's asked to look into the story. So it turns out Nirav was living in the West End of London in the middle of town. And he had opened a business in London as well. And so one day Nick catches up with him on the street and he's like questioning him. And this is when he looks like Pee Wee Herman and he's like running down the street. And he was super taken aback. Like he was like, where did this guy come from? And he just kept saying like no comment to the questions. And his former employee who still thinks about him like this has this like God vision of him is like, he looks so badass in his leather jacket.
That was weird. I know. I was like, he didn't even look badass. He looked like he was like, he literally looked like he was running from the cops. Like he looked like he was on the lam, which he was.
He looked like Pee Wee Herman and Caillou had a baby.
Because he grew his, because he still looked like Caillou. You're totally correct. And then he grew out his mustache and beard, but the mustache was like overrunning the beard. So then he looked like a creepy mustache pedophile guy like Pee Wee Herman. So it worked. It worked for many, many years.
Seriously.
And he was in New York. That's hilarious. He's not like, he's not hiding on some island. He's in like New York and London, still living the high life, by the way.
Yeah. So then James Crabtree, who's the author of this book called The Billionaire Raj about Nirav Modi, he said that London is basically he explains to the listeners, which you and I already know, that London is a home away from home for rich Desi people. Right. And that he got arrested in London within a day or two after being found because India basically served an extradition notice to London. And the poor people in India are really upset. They can't believe it. They can't believe they got swindled. And some of them feel like he only helped them still. So they're just kind of like toiling and trying to make sense of it all. And the 2 guys that were bank employees, Manoj Karat, who's one of the higher level guys, he's awaiting his trial. And he says he's like basically half dead because his family can't help him. And then Gulkhanan Shetty is also waiting trial, and he denies any wrongdoing. He's like, I was basically a lower level employee. And both of these guys are being totally screwed over.
Yeah, of course. I mean, they have to arrest somebody. But it's kind of funny, right? Like, it's not funny at all. Like, you can tell by our voices and what we've been talking about. But $1 to $2 billion missing through 2 regular bank employees how much money is actually missing? People that don't do it at that scale. 100 grand here, 200 grand here, thousands of people. Can you imagine? All that money is being fed into corruption and people that don't deserve it while bypassing the populace. It's unreal. This is disgusting. This isn't a one-time thing. This is a big deal. And the reason it happens and the reason why it's so easy is because it happens on a daily basis with much smaller amounts.
Right. And so James Crabtree, he says, this was a grand scale of corruption, and it's actually a partnership between India, Switzerland, England, and the US, and all these shell corps and tax lawyers and offshore accounts and all this stuff. So he didn't do something new. He used a blueprint that already existed from Western capitalism, and he like took advantage of really poor Indian people.
Yeah. And if he would have actually kept the diamonds, as you said, just for sale and stop inflating the assets and stop stealing the money from the banks like he was doing, he probably would have still ended up rich and wealthy, and he still could have hid his assets in those 3 countries that you mentioned, and he would have never been arrested.
Yeah.
Like he skipped too many steps.
Yeah. So as I mentioned earlier, he was in London jail, and 9 of his employees and more than a dozen of the Punjab National Bank employees are also charged in relation to this fraud. They're charged and awaiting trial and in jail in India. And he has a asylum case pending in the UK. And so, Sameem, I know you have some tea, so let's do a little tea time and tell us what's the latest on that.
Yeah, so Bad Boy Billionaires is pretty old. It's from 4 or 5 years ago. The first episode that we did with Kingfisher, Vijay Mallya, he's in UK as well, awaiting extradition. However, our boy Modi, as Shabnam said, he got arrested. India served an extradition request. He's been appealing it, and his reason has been, I'm depressed and I'm suicidal, as I would be too if I had billions of dollars and ended up in prison. So that's nobody's problem but your own. Well, I have some good news. I have some good news for you.
What?
As of 2 days ago, the UK courts have ruled that it is not an infringement on his human rights to be deported back to India, because he was claiming I'm suicidal and I have mental health issues, so you can't extradite me because it's a violation of my human rights. And they were like, no, it's not. You got to go. So this motherfucker, his return to India is imminent.
Wow.
So
nice.
Okay. I'm glad. It just took many years. Rich people, justice is always going to take a long time, as we know in every country. Yeah. Poor people, they've been in jail for a long time. I understand he's been in prison for 6 years in the UK, but India's a lot different, man. They're going to fucking get him.
Yeah, I hope so.
His store is still open in New York City, as I said in the middle of the episode, but look at these. He has 1-star reviews on Google, and it's asshole run from India so he can make his business in USA. Do not buy or support him. He is fraud. So many people have cheated. Don't be victim. Report him to FBI or police if you see him.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
That's one review. Then the husband-wife owner, Nirav Modi, are thugs. Ran away from India fleeing with $2 billion. Do Google check facts. Do not buy anything.
That is hilarious.
Morally subdued folks. That's what he wrote. And then
that's really funny.
They're all like from India 7 years ago. Here you go. I found one 5-star review from 4 years ago. And it literally it reads, questionable ownership. But to be honest, craftsmanship of the jewelry is class A. Kudos to the hard work from the talent responsible for the work, branding, and creative assets involved. And I was like, Modi, you found the internet in jail?
Yeah. What the hell? Oh,
there's like 57 1-star reviews and 1 5-star review.
That's hilarious. Wow. He needs to get a bot farm in India to post good reviews for him.
Yeah, I think that's the least of his worries. I think branding is out. Dude, this guy he's not quite like, I don't know, financial figure in U.S. Who's he, like Bernie Madoff, I guess? But he wasn't taking people's money. That's the difference, right?
No. We're going to review also Bad Boy Billionaires, the third episode. That guy's more like a Madoff. Yeah. But this guy, this guy maybe, sucks. Maybe he's like a Trump, just like you said. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, this guy just wants to be rich and famous. He's 5'4". I don't care. I'm going to keep saying it. He married a woman just to social climb. These people are uninteresting. Yeah. These people don't belong in my life. And even if you're like that at a lower scale and you're like searching for $10 million and that's all you talk about, you can get the fuck out of my life too. And like I don't really care anymore. And the reason why I'm talking like this and acting like this is because this country is doing some weird ass shit, and all of this stuff is essentially legal, and power corrupts, and bullshit walks.
Absolutely. Absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
On that note.
Hey, it's sunny out. I'm in a good mood. I had a really good weekend. I'm going to go to the beach again, Shabnam. I don't think you're surprised.
Not surprised. Have fun.
Thank you.
All right.
Should we jingle out? Hey, let's take some diamonds and go. Maybe I'll do the diamonds are forever. I think we'll get a copyright.
Yeah, we'll get a copyright. Let's stick to our jingle. Before we head out, you guys like, subscribe, and rate us 5 stars everywhere. You can find us at Chai After Dark on all socials and on all platforms. Like I said, hit the little like button, hit the subscribe, and give us some love.
Yep. Dun, 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 dun.